What's up, everybody? How are y'all doing? Welcome to another episode, and it is currently September of 2024, almost October. Well, not really. We're in the middle of September, but um, this last a little bit ago, Apple they announced their new iPhone 16 lineup. It's the new iPhones for the year. So as of that point, actually, I think it will be around the 15th or 16th, I think, is when they did the event last year. Um, is when the iPhone 15 series came out, which is when I bought my new phone. You can actually look in your the battery health settings and stuff. It kind of gives you some information on when your device was actually manufactured and when it was issued. The manufacture date on my device was July 2023, and it was issued in September, which sounds about right. I got the phone when they came out. So, with that being said, I kind of just wanted to jump on and talk about my experience with my iPhone 15 Pro over the last year and kind of my thoughts on how I feel like it has been. So, let's talk about it for a little bit. So, we're just going to take a look at the phone cosmetically, I think, first. The iPhone 15, it was the first phones that Apple made. With that, they started using titanium in the phone instead of stainless steel, which helped with, but ultimately, the lightness of it, and the finish is a lot nicer. I will say that my phone personally, it spends most of its time in a case. Actually, the case that I use the most over the years, actually, the D-brand grip case. It's currently rocking the X-Ray Dark Skin. Not sponsored, but D-brand, if you're watching, I'm down. And then also on the phone itself, I normally rock a skin on there just because, well, especially this teardown skin is just, I'm a sucker for it. Pretty much all of my devices have a teardown or x-ray skin of some kind, basically, so you can see the insides of it. But other than that, cosmetically, it looks pretty much fine. I will say that I am pretty good at taking care of my stuff. I try not to drop it. I do have a screen protector on here. Oops. A glass screen protector on here as well. I don't know if you can see it on camera. There's a little spot right there, and that's just because a speck of dust got under there when I applied it, and it it just it's been bothering me this long. I should change it, but I don't want to change it. This is actually the second screen protector that I've put on it because I cracked the first one because my work vehicle, there's this cage that I have in it, and so in between my seats, like right behind the seats, there's a metal rail that's part of the cage that's in my truck, and the phone fell on it when it was sitting in my lap one day, and so that's how I cracked the screen protector. But ultimately, it is doing very well cosmetically. I don't think you're going to be able to see it on here. Um, there's like, and I haven't really figured it out. There looks like there's the smallest like nick in the actual charging pins for the USB-C port. Um, and I just noticed that sometimes when I plug a USB-C cable into it, sometimes it looks a little crooked. I may be overthinking it, but that's just something I have noticed. Um, there's a little bit, you can kind of see a little bit of the titanium ring around the charging port here. That's just kind of rubbed off, but ultimately that's the only thing that has really rubbed off. So cosmetically, the phone is actually in great shape, which I think is awesome. Some of my favorite features with the iPhone 15, even still a year later after a year of using the phone, USB-C is probably one of the number one things that I love about this phone, just mainly because everything else I use is USB-C. The only device that I still carry that is not USB-C is actually my first gen Sony ZV-1 camera. It uses a micro USB, which drives me nuts, but I also don't use it enough to justify replacing it. And I just have one micro USB cable that lives under my desk. Actually, I like there's two. Um, I have this cheap little fan that I bought at Walmart because it gets hot in the summer and I'm a naturally hot person, so sometimes it just sits on my desk. That also needs a cable, but those are the only two things, and they pretty much charge and live here, so that's where I charge them. But I digress. So USB C, I love that. I love that it's USB C. I love that we finally brought it into the actual iPhone, considering that every other device that they make is a USB C device. So I think that's awesome that it's saying along the line. Realistically, you could just have one cable. It does everything. Again, on the USB C port, it is Thunderbolt. I believe it's Thunderbolt 2 speeds, and so you can hook up SSDs and stuff to it. I've done it before for filming stuff. So when you film in RAW on RAW, you go straight to the SSD, so you don't have to worry about it taking up your phone storage. That's awesome. Number two feature that I find the best about this is the action button. It was something new that they brought to the iPhone 15 line, which they're actually in um, developing further on with the new 16 phones with the camera control that they've um, put in place. I'm interested to see what that is gonna do for placement because I don't know if you can see on here. So on the 16 models, they put the camera control right in here on the side that the power button's on. So on my 15 Pro, this slot right here is for the 5G antennas, 5G radios in the phone. So I'm interested to see what they did with those, and I'll just have to keep looking and seeing what they do there. So yeah, action button is I mostly do it for. I have my action button set to the camera because that's just what I use it the most for. Taking quick pictures when I'm out with my wife or with family of finding cool things. I do it. I use it a lot for work. When we do jobs and installs and stuff, we photograph everything and keep track of everything in Dropbox. And so it's super nice that I can just conveniently pull my phone out of my pocket, hit the action button. A lot of times I'll just hold it just like this as I pull it out of my pocket and hit pictures. And you can use the action button as a shutter button as well. It's kind of in most cases, like if you want to hold it in landscape, it's kind of in a weird spot because you got to use your thumb, and then if you do it like this, the camera is lower, and so it's a lot of technical stuff. But ultimately, I find the action button very useful. And then, for me personally, the third thing that I would say that I enjoy about my iPhone 15 Pro is MagSafe, which MagSafe is not new. MagSafe has been around for a couple of years now, but I use it all the time. I have a MagSafe charger on my desk. I have one in my bedroom. I don't have one in my work truck, but I have my MagSafe puck in my work truck, and I put it on. It fits behind my phone mount. I have batteries. I have a mount for my gimbals. I just everything. I love it. It's probably one of the one of the things that keeps me going to keep me on iPhone instead of switching to Android is because most iPhones use it natively MagSafe, and I love magnets, and so I'm just gonna be saying it. So not the most exciting things that I would say that I love about my iPhone 15 Pro, but I've kind of developed my phone is a tool that I use to get through my daily routine. Something that I've kind of developed over this last year. At the beginning of the year, I kind of said that like I wanted to focus more on like I don't even remember how I put it. It was so long ago, but I wanted to be able to use the gear that I have more and like make it work for what I want to do rather than going and getting something different and just buying like the newest thing. And so I've taken that aspect, especially with my phone, and I've just made it just a tool that I use to get through my everyday daily routine, everything. And so that's awesome. I don't have a ton of gripes with the phone. I do have a couple. The charging port thing that I talked about earlier. You're not gonna be. I'm not gonna be able to show it to you on camera, but and it's hard to see. But I just noticed this as of a couple months ago. Um, Giving you the prime example in my work truck. No Bluetooth. It's an older work truck, so I have an aux cord with USB-C dongle for my phone. It goes in crooked. It's just ever so slightly crooked, and if I examine the port on this, it looks like there's a piece of the pins missing, and I don't know if it's supposed to be like that, if it's not a big deal, if I screwed it up. I can't figure it out. It hasn't really made using it any worse. It hasn't caused any issues. I have other cables, like I have a Thunderbolt cable that I keep with me. That works fine, so I'm not raising alarm on it yet. I'm just more nitpicking the fact that it's still a fairly new device, even a year into the life cycle, and it's just that. So that kind of upset me a little. The other thing, and this could be a problem. I don't know if other iPhone 15 users have this problem. If you do, let me know. We can talk about it in the comments. But the battery life is trash. I'm just gonna say it. I understand. I understand that, like, I use my phone a lot because I'm on it constantly. Maps. I use Google Calendar. Like I said, Dropbox. I program, like, in my work routine. I program Wi-Fi antennas with it. I even, like, with here, taking pictures, editing stuff, putting stuff on there, transferring stuff, anything. I just notice it's just not the greatest. I'll charge it overnight. I try to only charge it. I say I try. I try to only charge it once a day. But it's just I'll charge it overnight. I get up in the morning. By the time I get to work at 7:30 in the morning, leave the office by 8:15ish to go about my day. By the time I'm done with my first job of the day, I'm already below that 95-92% mark, which it's not a lot, but again, when you're using maps, when you're using all these apps and stuff for a lot of workflows nowadays, you notice it. And during Monday through Friday, when I'm on my phone constantly, I can't get past 4:30, 5 o'clock without hitting that 20% low battery warning or less than that. And so, I mean, even when I look at my battery health, it says my peak is at 92%, which is fairly normal and actually pretty decent for a year in a life cycle. But I don't know. To me, batteries just. So, ultimately, is it worth upgrading to the new iPhone 16 line? I'm going to say no, at least for me personally, just because it's fine. And I think that's okay, because it's going back to when I said earlier in the year, I'm thinking about when I made the Mac experiment video where I eventually got rid of my Mac Mini. I went a multiple month span of not having anything on my desk. I got rid of the monitor. I got rid of a bunch of. I didn't document it like I wanted to, but I actually sold off quite a bit of stuff. I mean, you can see that the monitor has made it back onto my desk, and I know you can't probably tell just because the paneling in here, but the desk is actually moved. I'm in a different room in the house now. But a lot of stuff is moved around, but ultimately looking at how I use my phone, how it's a tool, how I look at how I do everything, even with trade-in values, carrier deals. Apple actually has a fairly decent military program for all of my fellow veterans out there. So, even all of that considered, I don't think that it's necessary to spend the money to go upgrade to the newest model. And that's just, even with all the features that they've implemented into the new 16s, the hardware stuff. As I've said, I'm a big hardware junkie, so it's just the fact that they have the physical camera shutter button now. I'm a little upset that I don't need it because I want it, but that's just where I kind of have to sit back and look. Cause like, what's the difference between a need and a want? And just because I want it doesn't mean I necessarily need it. And that's kind of how I look at this. And this is fine. It works. It's more than fine. It's great. I love this. I love having this phone. I love using this phone, and I think I'm gonna hold on to it for the next year. And then even at that point, we'll see what iPhone 17 brings, and if I really need to upgrade to that. So that's basically my spiel tonight, and I want to thank y'all for staying until the end. If you've stayed this far, thank you for watching. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, leave them down in the comments below. I want to know, are you upgrading to the iPhone 16, or are you going to stick with your current phone, whether it be iPhone or Android? Tell me why. Are you even... Let me know if you even upgraded last year, or if you're still rocking iPhone 14, 13, whatever it is you're on. Let's talk about it. Leave it down below, and that's all I have to say in this video. So I hope you're all staying safe out there, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.